MEP Siegfried Mureşan, how can Russian propaganda influence the events inside the European Union?
It does, and it does it in the following way. It tries to establish communities of people who spread messages which the Russian Federation wants to be spread in the European Union. For example, Brexit was a strategic objective of the Russian Federation because through that they weakened the United Kingdom and they weakened the European Union. But Russians spread their messages primarily through, very often, Eurosceptic, nationalist, populist politicians in the European Union. So it's important to know who says what at which moment in time, to also realize that before Marine Le Pen says something 2 weeks before, it was on Russia Today or on Sputnik. That very often Nigel Farage says exactly those things which serve Putin and which 2 weeks before were on Russian media. It's very important to know who says what, to connect the dots and to realize where the communities of people who are spreading pro-Russian messages are. And very often those people who are retweeting Marine Le Pen, they are also retweeting Russia Today, and we are becoming smarter in knowing where they are, who they are, and which fake news they are trying to spread.
How do you define propaganda and disinformation?
Well, disinformation is the very dangerous thing because it completely denies facts, it misuses reality, and this is in fact exactly what happened last year in the referendum in the United Kingdom, where the British people were not told the truth about the consequences of Brexit. They started searching them on Google, they were upset with the government, they thought it's just, you know, a vote without knowing the huge consequences of it. So instead of being honest to the people and presenting a complete honest picture of facts, they normally do cherry picking. They take things out of context and use them in a way in which it serves their own interest and not the interest of the people whom they should be honestly informing.
How can be propaganda fought, and why is this important for the EU?
Firstly, we have to monitor it. And we have to become better in connecting the dots because, as I said before, very often messages appear. In the UK, in France, in my home country, in Romania, in countries in the immediate neighborhood of the European Union, in Georgia, in Ukraine, they are trying to influence people there as well to weaken institutions, to weaken parties, to weaken free media. So firstly, we have to monitor, we have to connect the dots. Secondly, we have to start countering it, and the first best tool is to inform people, equip people with regard to the messages, with regard to the objectives of the Russian propaganda, and tell them that even if it's someone who normally you trust because he might have been in the past a pro-European, honest opinion shaper, look, the message which he now spreads, where he tries to, for example, point to shortcomings of the Union, it's in fact exactly what the Russians want to see spreading, and which serves the Russian discredit, the democratic order based on free values, on the freedom of the press, on strong, credible NGOs, rule of law, democratic standards. This is exactly what the Russians hate, what they want to see weakening, and they would use every tool and every individual, even those about whom we thought, well, they are pro-Europeans. They might crack their system of values and make them serve their own interests.
What will the project fighting Russian propaganda entail?
I proposed a pilot project for the budget of the European Union, 3 million euros to tackle Russian propaganda. For the budget of the Union of 2018, and should this succeed, I stay ready as General Rapporteur of the budget of the Union to increase this significantly in the upcoming years. And now I propose this pilot project by which I say we should, number one, improve the monitoring, because for the time being the monitoring which the European Union does, it's based on an ad hoc network of volunteers, so journalists and NGOs. This means that from the countries in which they have volunteers, they are well informed with regard to the propaganda and the fake news. But there are many countries in which they have no volunteers. So what I want to say is we have to structure the monitoring. And eventually, if you are contributing to this on a voluntary basis, for a small NGO of 3 people, it's a burden. So I think we also have to, if they provide a service to us, find a form of compensation. So make the monitoring, structure the monitoring, make it more professional, connect the dots, and then start countering it. And I want us to use the embassies which the European Union has in member states and outside, the delegations and the representations, the communication experts there, to train them with regard to how fake news appears and how the disinformation works, so that they can equip the opinion shapers, the journalists with the right tools. And as I said, at the end of the day, we need to spread the message to as many people as possible, make them immune to propaganda and disinformation.
President Macron labeled Russia Today and Sputnik as agents of influence and propaganda. Do you agree with him?
Completely, absolutely. I'm experiencing that as well. The more you speak about freedom, the more you speak about liberty, the more negative news you will find about yourself on Sputnik and Russia Today. President Emmanuel Macron is absolutely right. I fully back that. The Russians, they tried to weaken Macron during the campaign. They tried to prevent him from becoming president of France. They failed, and that's a good news.